Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin by asking you if you can hear us loud and clear. Yes, thank you very much. Great, thank you, I got the message. Welcome to this series of trainings in Microsoft Excel. As you all know, Excel is a lifeline for any accountant. And in the past, we have done a number of trainings using Microsoft Excel as the base and at different levels. This time, we have come up with a series of webinars once again, and they link up with the quarterly theme that ACCA has in place now. This quarterly theme is named as the power of digital, which means during this quarter, all around the world, ACCA will be conducting a number of activities which will be related to the digital. So for example, today we begin with the series of Excel. In the meanwhile, there will be a research report released. Similarly, ACCA is reviewing or changing the ethics and professional skills module, and is trying to bring in a component of big data in it. Similarly, there are trainings on artificial intelligence using Python and R. So, ACCA has been talking a lot about its members having those necessary skills to be able to meet up the changes for the future in the profession. So with that, I will like to hand over to our trainer for today. But just before that, a bit of housekeeping for those who are using webinar for the first time. This is an Excel training. You will be able to see a lot on your screen. So I would suggest run worksheets in parallel, or the worksheets that the trainer has provided. Please use those actively. The worksheets are available for you to download from the handouts section of this webinar. So if you look at the handouts, there are 3 handouts available. Please download them. And at the same time, when the trainer is using different commands, you can use these worksheets to perform those commands yourself also. Secondly, you can ask questions by typing in your questions in the questions dialog box. So every now and then, the trainer is going to offer the question and answer break, and during that break, he'll look at the questions that you have all put in and try to answer those. Do not put in your questions. Sorry, just give me a second. Can you once again please confirm that you can hear me? There is somebody who said that the voice is not coming. Can you just by typing? All right, thank you very much. So Zishan, something wrong on your side. Can you please check your connectivity, because we are loud and clear. All right, so what I was saying was that number 1, download those handouts. Number 2, perform commands alongside the trainer. The questions, please type in your questions as and when, but I would suggest only wait for the topic to be completed and then type in your questions. That's because the trainer has to follow a certain flow for this training. So just as he's able to conclude a topic, that will be the best time to ask any questions that you may have. If you start typing questions in advance, there may be things that the trainer is yet to explain. Yeah, and that would mean a long list of log of questions that you probably have to answer, and go back to those same concepts that he's already explained. So just as the trainer explains that this concept is now over, if you have any questions, please type in the questions dialog box. That's the time when you type in your questions, and he'll go through your questions one by one and try to answer them. So I think with that, I'll hand over to our trainer. Our trainer for today is Mr. Khurram Khan, a very, very experienced individual when it comes to trainings and office applications. and he's done a number of trainings for ACA members in the past. A very, I would say, skillful individual. So let's hand over to him, and thank you very much for joining us once again, and good luck for a very interactive session. Khurram, over to you.
Thank you, Ram. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all of you. Okay, let's have orientation of what we are going to cover in this particular course, in this particular webinar. Okay, I've uploaded three sheets, three workbooks, and in which we have the Excel basics, then we have the keyboard shortcuts, and we have the function and formulas. We will begin with interface of Excel, the basic of Excel, and then we will go along, right? So if you open the basic Excel worksheet, and the first sheet is the content. These are the contents that we will going to cover today. Okay, one thing before starting this webinar, that is that Microsoft Excel is one of the very, very important tool for accountant. We need to understand its capability and functionality so that we can perform our task effectively and efficiently. Whenever we need to learn a new tool, we need to understand the basics. Once we understand the basic, we will be able to use it more effectively. So that is the reason we have chosen this particular webinar on Excel basics. In this particular webinar, we will be focusing on the very, very basics, the terms, the terminology, the basic concept, and that will be very, very useful in uh, communicating concepts with the other colleague, right? So let's start. Okay, so if we look at this particular sheet, that is about the contents. In this, we will be discussing interface of Excel, what actually is the interface, and what are the various components of its interface, what are their uses. Then we will be focusing on the Excel basic terms and terminology, that is what is the cell reference, range references, series, and autofill, etc., etc. Then we will be moving toward basic formatting, that we need to present our data in a more readable and understandable manner, in a more elegant way. So we will be having, say, text formatting such as bold, italic, underline, text orientation, etc., etc. Then we will be using the sorting feature, that how your data may be organized in different ways in order to look into the report in different perspective. Similarly, we will be focusing on the filter capability, that we want to look at the data from a particular data set that satisfy a particular condition, and then afterwards we will be moving towards a more important basic concept, that is the difference between function and formula. We need to understand what is a formula and what is a function, what are their similarities and what are their differences, and how effective they are when a function is being used in the formula, and so on and so forth. Then a very interesting session on the keyboard shortcuts. One of the benchmark of a good accountant that uses Excel is that how efficient he is in using the keyboard shortcuts. A good accountant seldom use mouse, right? So we have 5, 6 combination set of keyboard shortcuts, and we will be looking into it. And then there are certain general tasks such as that we need to move around long worksheets, how we can do that. Then there is a printing issue that comes, that sometimes there is a long a data set we have, and we have the headers and we want to print it, and sometimes the header is missing in the second page, and we will unable to understand what the data means. So we will be fixing this problem, and we will see that how that can be accomplished. Now let's begin with the first, what is an interface. Okay, now if you click this, the interface sheet, there is nothing in that sheet apart from two small sentence. This is an Excel interface, and we communicate with Excel through this interface. So that is the reason we need to understand the interface so that we can effectively communicate with Excel and use its feature more effectively. This interface have various components, various names, and we need to look into what these are. I hope this sheet is with you. You have opened the Excel. I hope they are using Excel 2013. Okay, 2013 or 16 is, if you are using 2013 or 16, I'm comfortable with it, right? Okay, the first line of this interface, and that is known as the title bar. The name of this part is the title bar, and it includes the name of the application. Right now the Excel is open, the Excel is in the ready mode, and you should find the name of the application in the title bar. Alongside with the title bar, you will find if it is an open book, you will find a book 1, or it will be the name of the workbook that is written over here. On the second line, which is this one maybe we call it a tab bar. Now the tab bar, if somebody have used the previous version of Excel, 2003 from 2003 version is the last version that we have that has changed. Since then, the interface has completely changed. That was a menu-driven interface, and now this is a tab-based interface. In the previous version, the menu version, the commands, the capabilities, and the features are hidden in the menu. They are not visible but in 2007 onward, the interfaces that we have, we see different functions and capabilities and the commands right in front of us. They have organized this interface into a manner that most of the features are visible. If you look at this, that this is what I call it a tab bar. If I press every tab, for example, home tab, insert tab, you will see that the line or the ribbon or the strip, you may call it, is changed. That strip is known as a ribbon, and that ribbon is organized into a group. If you look at this home ribbon, this is called the ribbon. If you look at this ribbon, you will find a small boxes labeled as a clipboard, font, alignment, etc., etc. This is a group, that means that it has grouped various related commands and feature and put it in that box. Look at this particular box, which is named as font. This is a group named font, and you will see various type of commands related to fonts. And similarly, you will find in alignment, you will find in number. And the good thing about this interface is that all of the related commands are visible. It is there. It is a click away, and I know what other features that the group may have. I can use it instantaneously. And uh, if you look at the tab bar, on the left of tab, you will see the file button. It is not the part of the tab bar, but it has some, although it's a part of the tab bar, but it has a different function. If you click file or if you activate this button, this will take you to the another interface which is known as the backstage view of Excel, and you will find different options over here. You will find the information about the workbook, about the versions, about other options. Similarly, you can open a new file, you can open an existing file, etc., etc. And then there at the end, you will find a very, very important feature option that is known as the option. If I click option, you will find certain features such as journal, formulas, proofing, save, etc., etc. These are used to configure or to customize Excel the way we want to use Excel. We can configure as per our requirement. For just to illustrate my point, for example, if you select journal, and then you will see in this particular, when creating a new book, these are few of the options. I'm just giving the last option, include these many sheets. Right now, when I open a new workbook, this workbook will contain one sheet only. But if I select, if I increase it by 2 or by 3, then whenever I open a new workbook, it should have contained 3 worksheets. So this is a very, very simple stuff that you can use, and you can use it for your convenience, right? So for the time being, I've just cancel it and coming back to the interface. Okay, then after the ribbon, you will find another important feature. Some of you may have find this part alongside in that title bar. It is you. It may have under the at the end of the ribbon or at the top side of the ribbon. This is known as the QAT, and the QAT stands for Quick Access Toolbar. So Quick Access Toolbar is a bar that contains certain buttons representing certain operations that we want to use very, very frequently. So we can make use of this Quick Access Toolbar so that we can refer it to it and implementing or using various functions that we want to use more frequently. One of the things, for example, that I want to have a quick print. So if I click that, and you will see what will happen, the button of quick print will be added to the quick access toolbar, and when I click, the quick print will be executed. And similarly, I want to place this quick access toolbar at the top of the line. Then I just need to click and then show above the ribbon. When I click that, and you will see what will happen. The quick access toolbar is placed alongside with the title bar. And if you want to remove any of the options in quick access toolbar, you just need to click that and just uncheck it. So we have these are certain given options, but if you want to add more options, you can have always more commands. You can click that and you can go along, follow the particular process, and you may have add different options of your liking. Then after that we have this bar, which is known as the formula bar, and formula bar consists of three important things. One is known as the name box. What is a name box? I will come in a minute. This is the important bar that contains the text, the value, or whatever we are typing somewhere here, it will represent here. The formula bar shows the content of the Excel sheet, and this is known as the insert function button. Uh, there are different ways to enter functions. We will see how we can do that, but this is one way. If I click FX, it will give me provide me a dialog box, and from there I can insert any function somewhere here. There is one more thing which is left in the ribbon, and that is in some of the groups you will find on the lower right corner a small button. This button is known as the dialog box launcher. So this button is known as the dialog box launcher. So the later version has indexed the
Yes,
uh, previous dialog boxes, and we can activate through this launcher. So if I click this one, you may see, and you should see a dialog box that has all the feature of the formatting, right? So we may be using this. After that, uh, this grid, this is the area, this is the working area of Excel sheet. We will be using these area in order to type our text or function or formula or values. We will be utilizing this for generating various type of code, etc., etc. But this is organized by column and rows. So every column in this sheet has a label which is known as the A, starting from A, then B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And similarly, we have the row label which is 1, 2, 3, and intersection of this is known as a cell. And now this is what we call a name box. Name box represent the active cell. So it means that whatever I am writing in F6 will be shown here. So because this is my active cell. So active cell is the cell in which we have a focus, we have to do something on that cell. If I need to say write something somewhere else, then I need to activate that cell. So I need to make it active. So how to make it active? Select any of the cell. So it means now it is H9. Name box will show the cell reference, which is H9, and now whatever I'm writing, it will be typed right over here. Similarly, we have this part. This part is known as the sheet tabs. Here you will find various sheets of the workbook. We have the content, etc., etc. Okay, we have the sheets here. We can insert sheet, we can delete sheet, we can manage the sheets from here. Uh, Then we have the status bar under the sheet tabs, and this is important in some aspect that it shows the status, what is actually the status of our worksheet. Right now it is in the ready mode, that it is okay, what we are trying to do will be done right over here. Okay, fine. Then that is known as the scroll bar. This is the horizontal scroll bar. You can move here and there from here. This is the vertical scroll bar. And these are the various views on the status bar. This is the normal status bar. The page layout, we will discuss it in a bit. And then this is known as the zoom slider. Sometime we need to uh, increase the zoom level, and from here we can increase the zoom level just like it. Just slide this and you will see the zoom level has been changed. So these are some of the basics of the interface. As you go along with this, you will be using this, you will be more comfortable of utilizing the various Excel interface feature. There one more thing, and that is the right click option, which is to activate the contextual menu. Now, what is a contextual menu? Contextual menu is a menu that contains certain certain features of Excel related to a particular part of the interface. For example, if I right click somewhere in the sheet, you will see that a menu comes up and that contains the various options related to that particular area. And similarly, if I right click on the sheet tab, and you will see another menu pops up, and you will find various options related to the sheets. I can insert a sheet, I can delete a sheet, I can rename, so and so forth. And similarly, if I select this one and right click, there is another pop-up menu, which is contextual menu, consists of options available, use to do something on that particular part. And similarly, I have another right click option, contextual menu for the ribbon. If I click here, and you will see I will have various options in order to customize the quick access toolbar or something like this. And one last thing, and that is that if you put your pointer on any of the options, you will see a small box popped up, and that is what we call a screen tip. So this is the screen tip that indicate, that helps that what this function will be doing, what this feature will be doing. So these are the basic uh, parts of the interface, and we should understand it very clearly so that we can use it for effective use of the Excel. Now, if you have any question on this, you can ask, or I will proceed further. Okay. So if you have any question on the interface, then I can answer, or I will proceed further.
There is this question, someone Mahmood Rashid is asking, why does your Excel have a developer and Acrobat in the tab bar? Good observation.
Okay, fine. I've just told you that we can configure our Excel as per our requirement. So maybe this particular machine that I'm using, or the Excel that I'm using, I can somebody has configured it. For example, I want to remove the developer tab from the ribbon. So I can do it very easily by going to by clicking the file button, then the option, and then you will see the customize ribbon. So if you click the customize ribbon, and you will see that we have on the right part somewhere we have the developer tab and then the acrobat. So if I uncheck this, the developer tab and the acrobat, so then click OK, and you will see that the developer and the acrobat has gone. So similarly, if you can add it back, repeat this process by clicking the developer and the acrobat, they comes back.
Next question is from Usman Khan. He's saying, how can we find the hidden sheets in a workbook if they are not logged in as a process?
Okay.
Are we going to cover it?
Yes, I will cover it in the protection part.
Okay. But leaving protection aside, if there are hidden sheets, how do we find them?
I think I will. Yes, I will cover that thing in detail in that part. Right. Okay, I hope these are the basics. So let's move further. So let's go to the very basic terminology. Something I have already covered, and so I've just mentioned. If you click this one, just to graphically, I've tried to explain what this is means. This is the cell, this is the intersection between rows and columns, and this is the active cell. This is F9, and you see it is in the name box. And similarly, there is a concept of range, and that range, this concept is very important, because we will be referring it again and again. We will be using this in functions again and again. So every function using a range as their parameters, right? In order to use their data in some sort of calculation. So we need to understand what range is. Range is the selection of a cell. The smallest range is a selection of a single cell. That means the active cell is technically a range, and it is a single cell. So single cell may be a range, or it may be a collection, or the collection of, if we select multiple cell just like this. So this is also a range. So range, when we are using range in a function, then we have to reference it as a range. And how we refer it, look at this. Range is the selection of multiple cell, and the range reference is I7 colon I11. What it means, that the starting point is I7 and the ending point is I11, and the values in between those are also the part of the range. So all these values will be considered, will be evaluated when this particular range is being used in some sort of a function. And similarly, we have another type of range, and it is the multiple selection of cell rows and columns both wise. So the first cell is the N7, and the last one is the Q11, and whatever values in this particular range will be evaluated within the function, and it will be used. So this is the range that we need to understand. So the selection of cell or cells is a range, and you need to understand that how these ranges are referencing in functions. So for a particular cell reference or a range, the answer is very simple. So L6, L16, if this is a range and I want to use it in a function, so I will be using L16. If I using this one, then this is say I7 colon I11, and if I'm using this particular, then the starting one and the last one, and that is N7 colon Q11. This is how the ranges are being referenced. Then the next is the cell content. Now, the one basic question is what is the Excel data? So Excel data is the data or the values within the Excel cells. So if this is a cell, I can put something, I can type something, I can write something, then it will be typed in this cell as a value. So a data in an Excel is a value within a cell. But the question is that how many types of value we can type within a cell. So basically we can type these string. We have the text or labels. So text or labels means any alphabets or alphanumeric can be typed. Example is that is my name, this is the text, this is the alphabet, or I can use, for example, A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. This is alphanumeric. So alphanumeric and alphabets, these are the examples of the text or a label. Then we have uh, the numbers or the numeric values. The numeric values are 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. By default, all text or label values are left aligned within the cell, and all the numeric values are right aligned within the cell. And then we have another important uh, data type or a value type which is known as the date type. The third is the date, and we can enter dates. We will discuss in later webinar the very concept of the date, that how Excel manages date within Excel. It has a complete system. We will be discussing inshallah in the later webinar. And the fourth is the formula or a function. Formula or a function, when we type formula or function, it should begin with an equal sign. So equal sign indicate that the content of the cell is the function or the formula. If you look at this, so this is the equal sign. I've used the equal sign just to show that the content of this cell is a function, a formula. Excel understand the content of this particular cell, and it will be evaluated by Excel as a function or a formula. So this is very, very important when you type function or a formula within a cell. It should begin with the equal to sign. Okay, fine. One very important point is that the formula bar only represent uh, the content of the cell, whereas in cell you will see the value of this formula. If you look at in cell C8, you see that you have the value 25, but in the formula bar you will see the content of the cell is this. So you need to understand what is the value and what is the content. So is there any question on this? Because this is one of the important things that you need to consider while developing certain complex comparisons or formula, because there are values which looks numeric, but they are not numeric. And when you compare these two values, this will give you different results. So we need to make it very, very clear that what actually is the data type. Now it's time for the questions on the cell contents, the range on the cell. If you have any question, please do ask. Or I can ask the question. Okay,
There is one question before you go. The question is, how can we use date shortcut keys? Is there a date shortcut key? How do we use it?
so we have few keyboard shortcuts that will be discussed in the keyboard shortcut part. So we have, for example, look at this. I've just typed the system date, the current date by using certain keyboard shortcut. We will be discussing, I think we have 3-4 keyboard shortcuts. We will be elaborating this in keyboard shortcuts part module. So don't worry. Okay, what I was referring to this is that there are certain values which look similar, but they are not the same. For example, if I'm using 1, 2, 3 and I'm using 1, 2, 3, so these two values are similar in nature, it looks similar, are the same. So this is my question to the audience, that if you have if somebody can answer that it looks similar but they are not similar. Any answer?
1, 2, 3 is text type. First is text. First one is text.
The other one is?
Format is different.
Okay, so why is that?
Not number, the other one is number.
So there are, you can, by looking at the number, you can simply say that I just mentioned earlier that the text value is left aligned. So the first 1, 2, 3 is left aligned, so it's ought to be a text, and the second one, 1, 2, 3 is the numeric, which is right aligned. So that is one different.
There are two Usamas who are very active. One is Osama Muhammad, the other is Muhammad Osama.
Okay, both Usamas.
They're just saying the text is left aligned.
Okay, fine. So we have certain other functions. We will discuss it later, that how we can tackle these questions in terms of the comparisons of the text. We have certain C features that will be converting one data type to another data type. So this is very, very important, and we will discuss in the functions module. Okay, fine. The next.
Any other questions you want to ask? Or there are 2 or 3 questions that people have asked.
Okay, fine. One question from my side is enough.
Okay, so there is a question from again Osama Muhammad Rashid saying, apart from is equal to sign, can we use the plus or minus sign as well? Any difference between these having functionality?
The only difference that as far as the Excel documentation is concerned, the Excel, we need to standardize it. So the Microsoft Excel documentation suggests that as per se, the rule is that whenever we have to write a function, we have to use the equal to sign. So that is, maybe you may call it a rule, and that is actually the rule. But yes, but yes, we can use the plus in order to start a function that we want to add something to other value. That yes, of course, we can do.
But that will make it a positive way.
Yes, yes.
We want it to a positive.
Yes,
We
yes.
start with the negative and then say plus negative subtractive.
Yes,
so
yes.
You have to keep maths in mind when you're.
But the rule of thumb is it is better to use equal to sign. Simple as that.
Equal to is neutral.
Yes.
Adding positive or.
Yes, yes.
The next question is from Usman Khan. He's saying in merging cell data of the first cell is only displayed and later one is not displayed. How can that be corrected?
Okay, one of the fundamental of data analysis or developing the sheet is that kindly avoid merging cells. If you merge cell, the data in the merge cell, it will contain only one value because the merge cell will be taken as one cell. So it will contain only one value, right? So we cannot have multiple values in one cell, in merge cell, right? So one of the basic rule is that try to avoid using merge facility. This is only for the static data, just to say give some sort of titles, etc., etc. But in the actual sheet in which you have the important data, kindly do not merge cells or put your data in the merge cells. Right? Anything else?
Yes, there is another question. The question is from Ahmed Amiruddin. He's saying, if I have a table with both text and numbers, then how will I use the VLOOKUP for this scenario? If it is not within the scope of the lecture that you've so far delivered, we can put it off and come back to this question afterwards.
I think I've already pointed it out that in some sort of comparison, when there is a need to compare two data to different data type, we have certain functions that will be used to convert the data type. So we have text data that we want to convert it as numeric, or we have the numeric data and we want to convert it, and that will be discussed in the later part. So don't worry, we will be discussing while we will be using certain logical functions or the VLOOKUP functions. That will be taken care in that part. Right, then let's move to the next part, and that is the range name. I'm skipping it for the time being. I will come back to this sheet when we will be discussing in formulas of functions. Okay, now let's move towards. Okay. Now let's move towards the next sheet, which is known as the autofill. Autofill is an interesting feature that helps us is quickly adding the data or writing the data within the cells. It will be taken as a series. One thing that I forget right, that is ranges. Where is cell content? Okay, fine. One thing that I did forget, that is about the range. So the selection of cell is a range, but what about the values present in a range? So if you have any idea, any one of you who can just say if this is the selection, this is the range, and what is the name of the values, what we named these values as? Is there any answer? No answer? Okay, fine. So before discussing this feature, let me draw your attention on the values of a range. If this is the range, I've selected cells from A2 to A13. So this become a range. and the values present in this particular range is known as a series. So all the values here in this particular range is termed as a series. So it's the values of the series. What is a series? Any idea? What is a series? How can we define series? Any answer? Any clue?
Sonia Farmer has said that series is a pattern.
Okay.
Marine has said it is a range of values. Usman Khan has said that it is a value in range.
Okay.
A chronological sequence.
Chronological sequence, okay.
Nabil Ibrahim has said it is a cumulative data of a range.
Okay.
Ghazal Farman said series is in sequence.
Okay. The first one, that the series is a pattern, okay, and the last one is series is a sequence. Okay, fine. These are the two answers which are very, very closest that what we meant. Okay, series is a pattern. Okay, that's great. Series is a sequence. That is great. So if you look at this particular data, it has a particular pattern, right? So, or it has a particular sequence. Now, the important aspect of any pattern or a sequence is that we can predict the next value of that sequence. For if I select these two value and make it a range, now I have 11 and 12, I can predict what will be the next value. So this is 11, this is 12. The pattern says or sequence says that if I add 1 to 11, it becomes 12. The next should be add 1 to 12. Now the next will be 13. So I am predicted based on certain calculation that the next value will be 13. Similarly, in that case, this become a series and the next value will be 26 because the difference between the two is 2. This is 22, this is 24, and the next value will be 26 because in this particular the difference is 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, and similarly for this. Now, the autofill feature, what actually it does, it will detect that pattern or the sequence or the underlying assumption of that pattern. It will evaluate it, and as per its evaluation, it will be used in this autofill capability. So what it means that if we extend this range, the range will be auto-filled by the series value. So how to extend a range? Very, very simple. Uh, if you put your mouse pointer on the lower right corner, which is this one, and if you put on this particular dot the square, then if this is a big plus, when you put that, your big plus becomes small plus. And when it does, then click the left mouse button and drag it down. Once you drag it down, and you will see the range is extended along with the values of the series, because Excel identified the patterns and the underlying assumptions on the calculation it may have and extended it accordingly. Similarly, you can do like this, and we can do like this as well. So this is as far as the numeric values are concerned. There are certain ways the Excel identified the pattern or the calculations. There are different types of a series that we can discuss and we can configure it accordingly. And similarly, we have these ranges as well. Now, these have a particular pattern. One is the numeric ranges and other is the textual ranges. So we know that we have a January, we have after January, we will have February, we have March, and so on and so forth. So we can take this as a range as well. If you select, for example, January, just let me delete this. And similarly, if I extend this range, this is the January, and then I will move along like this, and you will see it is January, February, March, so on and so forth. The good thing about this is if you use a particular pattern, for example, let me do this. This is January. If I use first three letter of this, let me delete that. This is January. If I use the first three letter of Jan and extending the ranging, then see what will happen. So it will be January, February, March, all the same pattern that we have. So it is a predefined list built in Excel. Same is the case with the days name. Just note that now I've used Sunday as the capital. All characters are in capital. So this is the case. Now the pattern, the series will be generated in all capital letters. So this is what it is. Similarly, if I want to use, for example, Sunday, and I want to extend it, so what will happen? So we have Saturday, Sunday, Monday in this. So this is what we call the autofill. So these are some of the basics about the autofill. There is another important trick that you should know about the autofill. For example, you want to, somebody have asked that how the shortcut of the date. So this is not the keyboard shortcut, but this is the capability built into the Excel, and that is you can fill dates by right clicking. So for example, today is not today, 0104 or say 2019. So this is uh, 1st March, 1st April 2019, and I want to extend the date. I want to autofill the dates. So I can use the right click. In all previous example, I've used the conventional extending ranges now, but for this, I'm using the right mouse button. So put your pointer on the lower right corner, right when your big plus becomes small plus, and then click the right mouse button, and then drag it down and release the mouse. And you will see there is a pop-up menu coming in, have different options. And look at here, we have fill days, we have fill weekdays, we have fill months, and we have fill years. So if you use the fill days, it will fill the date values starting from 1, 2, 3 to say up to the extension level. And if you want to fill only the weekdays, weekdays means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, excluding Saturday and Sunday. So for example, if I want to select fill weekdays, so all of these values are the dates, that is excluding Sunday and Monday. Sorry, Saturday and Sunday. So this is a good feature that you should know, that if you want to pop up the dates within a particular cell, you can use this feature. So any question on autofill?
Rizwan Ali has asked, can we change pattern in a single series?
Okay, for example, I have values like this. So we have 2, we have 4, and we have 6, right? And then I have values say 7, 8, and for example, 9. And if I select all of these, it become a range, and the value present in this range is become a series. Now the Excel will try to detect the pattern that this series may have. And if it detects correctly, then it will extend accordingly. But even then, it will do something, it will extend the series. But let's see what the values we may have. So yes, the series, whatever he uses the formula or the function or whatever, right, the harmonic series or whatever series you try to identify, yes, it does provide the extension or the autofill values. Even then, as a user, I'm unable to identify that what is actually the pattern, but the Excel does.
The next question is from Ali Hassan. He's asking how to define custom series. In that okay, this one.
No, I did not. In fact, there are certain built-in series. So this is the built-in series. So January, February, it is the built-in series. That's yes. But let me give me. Okay, I will discuss it in sorting. That how to generate a list, and based on that list, we can say organize our data accordingly. And there I will show how we can use that feature in pop-up the autofill values with that customized list, right? So I will do that. Don't worry. We will do it today in the sorting.
Acca is asking, is the autofill option affected by options menu in the file tab? He's saying there's an option for autofill in the file tab under options. How does that work?
In the file tab option,
File options, and he says the autofill option in it. How does that work?
autofill. Okay, again, the point is that I've just mentioned that Excel will try to detect a pattern. So, and that pattern, the attempt that Excel trying that we can configure. I mentioned just maybe we have the harmonic series. So there are the list of values that the series that Excel can be configured accordingly, and Excel will be using that method in order to identify those pattern, right? So I mentioned you earlier that this file option, right, is used to configure your Excel, that how you gonna use your Excel, right? So the way you should use it, the way you want to display it, right? So this is how Excel option feature is useful, right? Maybe yes, we in some of the cases I will give you certain examples that how I can configure it and use it accordingly, right? So we'll do that.
One last question. Abdul Manan is asking, please tell this function again. For example, if I want to exclude weekends in dates by autofill.
Okay, so just hang on. Let me do this once again. So these are the dates I want to pop up this column with the month of say April, but excluding all weekends. So means Saturday and Sunday. So I need to type 01, 04 and 2019. So this is the first date I need to type, and then uh, using putting my pointer on the lower right corner of this active cell, then click the right button of the mouse and drag it down, right, and leave the mouse button and the menu pop up, and I have these four options: either fill days or fill weekdays. If I click fill weekdays, so these are all the dates in that are excluding Saturday and Sunday. Let me confirm that. So this is the long date. Okay, you'll see this is the Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So if you look at here, this is Friday and Monday. So 4 and 7. Fourth is, okay, this is, okay, fine. This is not April, this is January because the date format is different. So we will discuss the formats later, but the date I mentioned is the 4th of January 2019, and that is Friday. So I've extended this, and you see we don't find any Saturdays and Sunday in that list. So this is how you can exclude Saturday and Sunday in that list, right? Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, we have simple sorting. Let's move to that. I the type of questions that the attendees are asking, I don't think that this is difficult for them to grasp. It's very, very simple. So I will take a minute or two just to explain what it is, and I will do one or two things so that for those who are unable to do that which is a bit tedious. For example, this is the format people don't know normally, but the rest of the thing they do know. Okay, what is formatting? Formatting is the way to present your data in a manner that is more understandable and presentable. Now look at this, we have this report, we have the summary report, we have this blah blah, but this is actually I guess it is presentable, but the reader has to exert a little more effort to understand what it means. But the report on the right, it is more presentable, and a reader put less effort in order to understand, right? So that's what we can do with this on that particular report. What actually we did, we have used this feature. For example, we have title formatting, the font is Arial, the font size is 16, and alignment is margin center. So I've mentioned earlier that for the labels and for the titles, we may use margin center, but for the data itself, it is not recommended to use merge and center. So what we can do, so we can merge this. So this is how we can merge, select the cells, and then go to home tab and click merge and center. When you click that, and you will see this cell, the multiple cell, the selection that we did, it's now converted into one cell. So we have just did that. This margin center, the font size is 16, it is 16 already, and the font size is Arial, which is actually the Arial, and if you want to change it, you can change it from here, for example, something like this. So this is the type or the way you want to look your label like this, right? So, and then you have this, and you want to put here in that format. There are two ways to do that. One is in the home tab, in the alignment group, then you will see this is what you call the orientation. But it's better to use the alignment dialog box. You can click this one. This is the alignment. Launch the dialog box. Click that. Just click that, and you will see you have the alignment. And in that part, you will see this is what is the orientation. So if I just put your mouse pointer and drag it to the 45 degrees and click OK, and you will see it is changed. Then what you can do is the table formatting. Font is Arial, font size this, font color is black, and the cell color data value is light green. So what you can do is, so this is the light green, you can select this, right? You can, this is the cell color, which is the light green, just light green, or whatever color that you want to do, right? About the headers, if you look at, this is the quarter one, so this is, you can merge it. You can merge it like this. Again, this is a label, not the data. So that is the reason I'm using merge center. And then you have, you can repeat this for that merge center. You can do with this merge center, and then the header labels is green and white. So what you can do is you can use this. This is green, and this is white. Okay, and you can repeat it for these. So this right, you can use this. Okay, then for here margin center, we have already done that. Cell borders applied, it is already there. But the shrink to fit and wrap. Okay, for example, total sale. The width of the column is such that the part of the total sale is hidden. We have two options, right? So we can just shrink the size of the total sale by just selecting the total sale, then go to alignment, and you will text control. This is the shrink to fit. If you click that, and you will see the total size, the total sale is actually a shrink and fit in the cell. And similarly, we have the product average, and we want to wrap this. You can wrap it this right from here, or you can use this, and you have the wrap text, and you will see what will happen. The width is the same, but the height of the row become increase just to adjust the content of the cell. And similarly, you have this value, and you can use the light green. So this is the data, and this is what it is. So this is very quickly I have gone through this part, and you can simply see that the report is similar. It is more presentable, and this is the reader uses less effort to understand. If you have any question, because we will be having a 10 to 15 minutes break after this.
Okay, Farooq Khan is asking, if we have large data and we want to find the merge cell, because sometimes we copy and paste and error message appears, this function can't be done for merge cells.
Okay, that's long data set. Okay, that I need to figure it out. Uh, we have the long data, and within that data set, we may have certain merge cells. That's what it means, right?
Um, all right, can I ask for you to rephrase this question? No, question's not very clear. Yes, he says yes.
Okay, so we have the okay. One of the way is that we need to revisit the data set, right? By using different techniques. I will discuss those techniques in my data cleaning part. So we need to clean our data. The problem with the data set that you are referring it, that it might have certain merge cells, and whenever you want to apply certain, say, function or a formula, that will definitely give you an error. So how you want to remove the errors? So that is the key question, right? And that is the key a problem. So we will need to look into, and I will give you an example on that. I will discuss two or three different techniques, right? So that we can undo the merge cells into the rule of the thumb again and again for all the audience. Whenever the data on the cell that you want to put in, it should not be merged, right? So if we don't have any questions, so okay, another question.
Saying that how can we, it's about formatting. He wants a date to be a full date format, including the day and the date and the month and the year.
Okay, one formatting option is this. Since this is the basic one, right? So I'm just giving the basic part, right? But yes, we have, apart from it, we may have different functions so that we can format it accordingly. For example, 0, 1, 0, 4, and 20, 19. So let me have this. Okay, so this is the date. I'm just giving you a very basic idea that what we can do is from the German part, we have the long date. If you click date, okay, the long date. What's is it the lock? Okay, just give me 01/01/2019, and this is date. So it should be a long date. So we have this Tuesday, January 1, 29. So we need to change short date and long date. We have certain other custom date formats. We will be discussing these later, since this is based on assumption as this is the basic thing, right? So
When you say later, that would mean following sessions or
yes. I pointed it out that date has a certain mechanism in Excel. We will discuss it in later, that how the date is actually managed in Excel. So there are different ways to do that. So we will be discussing in maybe the data management module.
data management session.
Yes,
Not later.
yes.
When you say later, that might
Not
mean-
today, not today. I'm trying to strictly follow this part content. I'm trying it because I need to done this, right? Okay. Before going to break, I'm just there is an idea maybe Harun Saab, maybe he likes it or not. What you can do is I will be writing my email address, right? And you can post your questions, right, for the next webinar. So we will have maybe half an hour on that questions maybe, right? So
I want questions in advance.
maybe, I'm just saying maybe.
How do you know that they are the same members who send in the next section?
What I'm saying is that what the questions that they are trying to say are related to the next webinars, right? There are some of the questions.
Okay, some of the questions are related.
Yes. So what if you say send me your questions? So what I will try to do is I will try to build an exercise based on those questions. So that might be an idea. So it is purely workable, but if it can be integrated, I'm not sure. So the first maybe half an hour is focuses on only those questions, or maybe we can segregate when the topic comes, I can take that and go on. So that may be an idea. We will discuss that in between in the break, and we will let you know. Right. So let's have a break of about 15 minutes.
Fine. And give them a task.
Okay. Uh, okay. I haven't done anything, so.
Give them a, I mean,
Okay.
platform.
Okay, what I'm going for, so we can have our break in 5 minutes, but what you can do is, in simple formatting, just type few numbers, maybe I'm just typing few numbers, 10, 100,000, 200,000, and something like this, right? 300, something like this. And what you can do is select all of these and perform certain various type of format, general formats. These are some of the basics, and try to understand what it means. So this is the task that I'm giving you for this particular break, right? So just type few values and apply those general formats and see what actually it means, right? So I will give you a brief idea about these after the break, just right. So good luck. Let's have 5 minutes break. Okay, I hope you have done a bit of task, and that is what are the various formats you have applied on this. Right, very quickly, let's go through this. So this is the number. So in order to be more presentable, more readable, if you click, then you will see there are certain decimal points come up, and you see that these are more readable now. Since sometime you want to put the currency sign, so this is the dollar sign that coming in, and there is a floating numbers dollar sign. Instead, you can use the accounting, and the accounting is more a lined dollar sign coming up, and then you have the short date and the long date. Means I have pointed out earlier that date is being considered and be taken as a separate mechanism. We will discuss that in later. Said what is similarly the time and the percentage. Sometime okay, so let it be. So it not asking this. So percentage, if you want to put a percent, so this will be percentage. Then you have the fraction don't matter here. So sometime you want to convert your number into a scientific notation, and that is this is the scientific notation of the same number. So these are some of the pattern. Maybe at times come, and whenever required, we will be discussing those part. Now moving to the sorting. Okay. Okay, sorting. Sorting means that how you want to organize your data, how you need to organize your data. Uh, when you need to organize your data, it means that you want to put your data into a particular manner. For example, that if you want to transform your data, organize your data in terms of location, maybe in terms of salespersons, maybe the product wise, and so on and so forth. The reason being that presenting your data that enable the reader to look into the data in particular perspective. For example, the reader want to look into this data in terms of location, that all the data that pertaining to a particular location will be organized. So let's see how we can do that. So there are two variations. One is a very simple one: select any key, select any cell of the column location, and then right click, and you will find a sort. Sort, we have A to Z, we have Z to, and so on and so forth. A to Z is ascending order, Z to is ascending order. If I select sort A to Z, and you will find your data is organized with respect to the location, and you will see what will happen. Now we have the data of say location wise. Now I can look at the data with a different perspective, that it is the data of the Gujarat. Similarly, I can do with this, I can use with the product, and so on and so forth. There are different levels of the data sorting as well. So this can be achieved. For example, you can click the data tab, then you can use the sort button in the sort and filter group. If you click this, and you will find the sort dialog box coming up. The good thing about is whenever you have to select one cell of the data set, Excel is intelligent enough to identify the range of the data is being using in the sorting operation. So it is already selected. Then we have different levels. This is the first level. We want to sort this data location wise. It is already done. We will need to add levels. So now I want to sort this data at the first level is location, and then by the salesperson. So I want to select salesperson from here. These are the values A to Z. If you click okay, and you will see that the data is organized first with the perspective of the location, and then accordingly with the salesperson. So you can add as many levels as you can. uh, One caution that you need to look into, and that is that whenever you pursue with this sorting, then your data has header, this particular option must be selected, because if it is not selected, the header row will be the part of the range, and if you sort this data will be sorted as well. You will find this somewhere in between or maybe at the end if this is not selected. If this is selected, it means this is our header file, and the sorting is applied on the data only, but not on the header file. It exclude the header row with the sorted data. So this is what data sorting is, simple data sorting is. There is another type of sorting that we can do. If you just scroll your sheet on your right, you will find there is another data set, and this is what is the highlighted data with certain colors. So sometimes we do highlight our data like this, and the highlighting that we do has certain meaning only known to us. And what we want to do is that we want to sort this data based on the color. So how you can do that? Just click the data tab, then the sort, and then use, for example, the location maybe, and then sort on. Click that, and you will see different option. One is the cell color. Then when you select cell color, you will find the order. Right now there is no cell order. If you click at, you will see this, select any of the color. First the orange one, putting it on the top, and then add another level, select location, and then we have the cell color, and then either I can put it on top or at the bottom. So I click on bottom, click OK, and you will see your data is organized like this. So we have opted for the blue color at the bottom, so it organizes at the bottom. And even if I want this to be after the upper one, which is the orange one, I can just go back, sort it, and then already is there just to reconfirm, change from on bottom to on top, and you will see what will happen. Your data is organized with respect to color. So these are the three basic type of sorting that are here. Okay, one of the question that somebody has asked, that how we can develop a list, and that list is being used uh, in autofill. So there are two ways we can do that, but for the simpler way, first of all, what we can do is we want to select this data. I want to sort this data, for example, the product one, ascending order, in an ascending order way, sort A to Z. So this data is sorted. But what I want to do is that I want to sort this data not in an alphabetical order, rather I want to provide my own order. For example, I want monitor to be at the top, then laptop, then LCD, and then printer project. Okay, there are many type of product. So let me write it. One is the laptop LCD monitor. What I want is that I want first monitor at the top, then I want laptop, then I want maybe the projector, maybe I want LCD then. So, for example, I want to sort my data with respect to this particular order. So what I can do is I can just click the data tab, sort it, and this is the product, this is the values, now the order. So these are the built-in ascending or descending order, but what we want to do is we want to have the custom list. So we will be creating a custom list that may be used in autofill feature, and that may be also used in ordering or sorting your data in that particular order. So custom list, select the custom list, and this will open up the custom list dialog box. What we want to do is just type the first one is the monitor, I guess, monitor, then the else laptop, then we have the projector, then we have the LCD, then maybe the rim. I think that's more than enough, and then add it. Once you add it, what you may have, uh, that list is added to the custom list, and click OK. And now you should find monitor, laptop, project, the list that you have just supplied, and click OK. Now what will happen? Your data is sorted with respect to this particular order. So this is what you call the customized sorting. This is very, very important because some of the at some times your boss or yourself maybe want to look at the data in that specified order. So that is the way to do it. But the question that somebody have asked in my autofill when I discuss autofill feature, that can we develop our own list? So this is actually one way of developing your own list, and we can still use it. For example, if just type monitor and I want to say autofill these values, right, by autofill features. So just extend it and you will see we will have monitor, laptop, project, LCD, RAM, and this is the one method to provide the way we can create our own list. If you have any question on this sorting, please do ask.
So, Mohammed Akib has asked, is there any way where we can apply colors by using sort options?
Apply colors. So we have already applied the colors, and then we can sort it, right? So first what we need to do is we need to apply the colors by ourselves, because I mentioned it earlier that we do that, and we do it for certain reason. Maybe this order is not completed, maybe for any reason, and we normally do that, right? So first of all, what you need to do is you need to apply color by yourself. Once it is done, then you can sort your data accordingly. So there are 2 or 3 different ways to apply the colors. One is manually like this, and other is with the conditional formatting. And that conditional formatting is the topic of the next chapter, next module. Any other question?
Rizwan has asked, can sorting be done on multiple columns?
Okay, I hope I have answered this question automatically, because uh, when I refer to the multiple levels, so okay, I'm giving you the task right now, right? And the task is very simple. Apply sorting on multiple columns. Okay, first of all, let's go back to reorganize your data in the original format, the way it is. So this is the serial number. Right click, and sort your data with smallest to largest, right? Now we have the data in our original format, right? Original order. So what I want you to do that apply the sorting on multiple columns by the first level is location and the second is the salesperson. So you have a minute to do that. Apply the data, then the sort, and then you have options to play with, the dialog box to play with. You need to select appropriate column names, location, and ad levels, right? Salesperson, and you done. I've just applied that, but I haven't clicked OK. Your data should be sorted like this. So 30 seconds remaining. Okay, how many of you have done that?
Ali Hassan says done.
Okay, great. Ali Hassan, good job.
Mohammed Akif said done.
Great. What?
Mohammed Amin said is done.
Okay, brilliant.
Any application.
Okay, another task. Another task, right? But it is, I'm sorting this data with respect to location, right? Sort A to Z in an ascending order. Now I have Gujarat, Lahore, and I have Multan, Sialkot. So this is the data. So I want that data to be organized with that particular order. First is Lahore, then Gujarat, then Sialkot, and then Multan. So what you need to do is you need to first create a custom list like this, Lahore, Gujarat, Sialkot, Multan, and apply the sorting feature to organize your data accordingly. Okay, do that. You have 1 minute 30 seconds to do that. Hurry up, guys. You guys are brilliant. You can do that.
Mohammed Akif has said done. Ali Hassan has said done. Farooq Khan has said done.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Yes, it's a matter of maybe 10 seconds. Yeah. The only time taking factor is the typing of the list. That's it.
So a lot of people have done it.
Okay, fine. That's good. If we still have few questions, we can.
Mohammed Usman Rashid is asking how we can arrange serial number and date.
How we can arrange serial number and dates. Okay, fine. Very, very simple. A serial number is like this. Just a numeric. Just select any of the cell of the serial number, then apply the sorting feature, which is actually the smallest to largest, right? Smallest to largest, select any one, and your data will be sorted accordingly. As far as the date is concerned, right, select any column from the date, right click, and you will find sort, and you will see the oldest to the newest date, and again the ascending order, descending order. So Excel is intelligent enough that it will identify the type of the data and provide you the options accordingly. So you can select the desired option and click OK, and your data will be sorted accordingly, right? Either with numeric, date, or text value. So I hope no further question on sorting, or shall we do?
Is there any way we can apply colors while using sort options?
Apply colors and sort
That
option.
should have been answered in a way.
Yes, sir.
So we can sort on the basis of colors.
Yes, we can sort on the basis of color. We have done it already. Okay, we have done it already in that particular part, right? Okay, fine.
Okay. If there is no serial number, then how to come an original sheet format?
Okay, if we don't have any serial number, so it means there are flaw in the designing of the worksheet. So we need to look into the flaw. It can be done. It can't be done then.
What if we misspelled a name in the custom list?
Okay, that is the good question. Okay, if there is a name or the data that is misspelled, it will not be sorted in as per the requirement, right? It will be sorted at the end, right?
Can we have
Yeah.
city-wise totals and the
Oh,
network details?
just hang on. Because the misspelled value is not present in the data set, right? So the closest thing that we have will be sorted at the end of the sorted list.
The last question is, can we have city-wise totals at end of each city range?
Yes, we can have. Okay, that I can answer very quickly. Okay, the question is that we want to have location-wise subtotal. Very simple. What we need to do is first sort your data with respect to location. So data is sorted with respect to location. Yes, it does. Location. This is, we have sorted it. Now apply the subtotal feature. Click the data tab, and in the outline group, you should find the subtotal, right? If you click subtotal, then the subtotal features you should see, and in this subtotal you should see what it will be asking few questions, so we need to provide those answers. At each change in, what does it mean? That this is actually the location we are referring to. So we have the consistent values, and whenever it changes, so it means at changes in location, these are the part which refers to the header values, so column values. So we need to select appropriate column. So we have sorted our data with respect to location. So at each change in location, then what we need to do, we need to use the sum function, and that sum function will be applied on amount. For example, this is the amount. So click that and click OK, and you should see that you have the Gujarat total is this much, and similarly you may have uh, the Lahore total is somewhere here, right? Okay, I've just applied the subtotal. The feature is being applied, and you should see just below the name box 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, these are the different views of this data set. The required view is number 2. If you click number 2, you should see the subtotal of each of the cities. So this is the Gujarat, this is the Lahore, this is the Multan. This is the subtotal feature that you should apply if you want to achieve this. And the good thing about this feature is that uh, we can look at the details of a particular subtotal. For example, I want to look into the Lahore details. Just click the plus sign at the back of it. If I click, you see this is the details of the Lahore, and if the plus become minus because it is expanded, if I click -1, then we have the subtotal, right? So this is how it goes. And
Do we have to sort before applying subtotal feature?
yes, this is mandatory. This is mandatory because uh, if you look at, just let me do it once again for you guys. Say subtotal, and I want to remove subtotal. Okay, look at there. The first question the subtotal is asking, that is, then the value is changing, right? I've sorted this data with respect to location, and I've applied the subtotal, and look at here. So at each change in location, the logic is that as long as the value is consistent, for example, Gujarat, 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 from here till here, right? As soon as it changes, it applies the sum function on amount column. So from here till here, all these values will be summed together. If the data is not sorted, right, it means the Gujarat, maybe some data at the top, some at data at the middle, and some here in between. So the data will be hodgepodge, the mixed. So we have to have apply the sorting feature first in order to apply the subtotal feature. It is mandatory. Although you can apply the subtotal on unsorted data, but the report that is being generated is useless.
How does the 1 to 3 option appears on right after subtotal?
Because this is one of the feature of subtotal itself, that it provides three different views of the data, right? So if I apply, for example, this one, so you will see this is level number 3. So it means the data is being provided in full, right? And the subtotal. Then the level 2, the whatever the detail is being hidden, right? So only we have the summary, and the first is will provide you the grand total. If I click one, it will provide only the grand total of this amount. So these are the three different views.
Can we apply multiple subtotals, like one for location and one for product?
Okay, dear participant, if you keep asking on these questions, right? So there are certain questions which are related. I have answered, and there are certain questions which are related to some other topics in other modules, right? So multiple, yes, certainly we can, but we can do it in a different way in different modules, right? You can apply that, yes, but right now I'm not doing it, right? So any questions? Okay, fine. Let's move to the next one. I need to be a bit faster, right? Okay, very quickly go through the filtering option. The filtering capability is very simple and straightforward. Uh, Sorting and filtering comes together, right? Sorting is applied on the whole of the data. It reorganizes the data from row to row wise, right? But the filter will show you only the desired data with respect to certain criteria, right? It does not changes its position. Sorting does. Sorting reshuffle the data, but filter does not reshuffle the data. The original data stays there, but it only provides the required data or the desired data based on certain criteria. So that is the basic difference between the two. The sorting reshuffle the whole data, where filter does not, but it only provides you the desired data based on certain criteria. So how we can do that? Very simple. Click the data tab and the filter. If you click filter, you should see certain buttons comes on the header column names. And for example, I want to say look in the only the data of Gujarat. I've clicked this one and select only Gujarat. I have the Gujarat one. So this is the data of the Gujarat in this particular data set. So this is how the filter works, right? You can apply the filter on multiple columns as well. As one of the participants have asked the question that the sorting can we apply sorting in multiple? Yes, we can. Also here we also can apply the filter on multiple columns. For example, I want to say look at the data. For example, Ali Bukhari and Khalil Arbi. So you see that your data is filtered with respect to location and salesperson. We have in Gujarat, there are only two persons, they are working, and this is their data. And we want to remove filter, we can just click that, and from clear filter from salesperson of that, so the filter is off, and then we can do that with location as well, right? Now, only one thing, that is, I want to get the data, right? So this is what is the values which are present in this particular data. But what I want to do is I want to get the data with respect to a particular range. For example, uh, say, just cancel it. For example, I want only those data which may be greater than 10. So we have 5, 5, 3, 1, okay, 15 or more. So I want a quantity. I want to look into the data that have quantity more than 15 or more. So you can achieve it through click the quantity, then number format, and then you have the greater than or equal to. Greater than equal to, then you have just type 15 and click OK, and your data is filtered, and you will get only that data which is based on certain criteria, and the criteria is show all those data having the quantity greater than or equal to 15. And similarly, you can apply various type of filters. Just you need to play with this. You may have different options. Number filters, you have less than, between, top 10, above average. These are different types, very simple and very obvious. Just play it with, and you may be able to understand it by yourself, right? Okay. Similarly, we have on the date, we have the January, February, March, we have different options. Just as in the sorting, the Excel identify the type of the data within the column and will provide you the appropriate filters. So you can play with this part, right? So I don't think we have any question on the filters, very, very simple. So let's move to the freeze panes, and then I will come back to printing. Freeze pane. Okay, look at this particular problem. I have a data. I have a quite long list, right? So as I scroll down, what happened is that the header row is gone up. I know right now this is January 14. This is February 15, but as I scroll down, the header file is gone. But now it is difficult to look into the data and making meaning out of it, that what data is representing, right? So similarly, if you scroll right, the first column is missing. Now we have all the data, but we are unable to understand what data is reflecting to. So in order to get a view that you will provide a more understanding of the data, we have the option which are known as freeze panes. Freeze panes has three different options. For example, let me just activate the, it will be, you should find this in view tab, and you will find in window group, and the title is freeze panes. So if you click the free panes, we have different options. Freeze panes, top row, freeze first column. For example, if I click freeze top row, what will happen? The top row is freeze now. So what it means that if I scroll down, the first row, the header files will stays fixed, it stays there. Now I can get what this data means. So this is the data of March 14. Similarly, I can remove unfreeze panes. I can fix the first column. So I've clicked the first column. So if I scroll right, your first data, the first column stays fixed. There is another way, and that is I want to fix the first column or the first row. So what I need to do is, so this is the general rule. The general rule says that how many rows you want to fix. Right now, one row. How many columns you want to fix? One column. So it means I have to select the B2. B2 means that there is one row up and there is one column at the back. So I want to fix first row and first column. If I want to say fix two rows and two column, what I need to do is I need to go for C2. So we have two rows up and two columns back. So when I will freeze panes, the two column will be fixed and two rows will be fixed. So you need to be very, very clear about this, that how many rows and how many columns that you want to fix with freeze panes. So right now I want to fix only the first row and the first column. So I have to go for B2, select that column, then go to view, go to window and freeze panes. So freeze panes, and now what will happen? You see your first row is fixed, and if I scroll right, the first column is fixed as well. So I can get the meaning out of the data, what it means that December 14 and this is Babur Qadri, something to do with the Babur Qadri in December 14. So this is the good feature and you should know because in the long workbooks you need to go here and there and you have to fix a certain number of rows and columns and to move around to navigate the sheet, and this is the way to do it. I think there is no question on this as well.
When we scroll down, the A, B, C, D, E, F column names change to actual headings like January 14, February 14, and so on.
Okay, there are two types of data that we represent. One in the Excel sheet just like this, right? So this is the normal way of doing it. Right now, I'm scrolling it down. If you look at, I'm scrolling it down, right? But column labels, aim, etc., they are doesn't change. But the first row is fixed. The question is, when we scroll down, the header rows goes up and replaced by column labels. That was actually the question. Now it means the data is in the table format. So there are two types of formats. One is the table and other is the normal, which is right in this sheet. So for that data that is in the format of table, when you scroll down, your header row will be replaced by the column labels. So that is actually the difference. Right? Okay. Okay, now let's move to the last topic of that is printing. Okay, very, very simple, very, very quickly we'll go through this. I want to print this data. Okay, I want to print this data. How can I print this data? I can print this data like this, file, then I have the print option, right? And this is how it goes. It looks fine. Then I want to go to the next page, but look at the next page. So the header is gone. So it is difficult for me to understand what this data means. So what I need to shuffle the first page and last page, first page and the last page is time taking and give me headache maybe. So what we can do is we can put this header on the second page as well. So that we can do, so that we don't need to shuffle our pages and we can read easily. So how to do that? Very simple. Uh, there is a page layout and we have the print titles. So click the print titles and you will see the page setup, and then the print titles row to repeat at top. So row to repeat at top, this is the option that helps us. So what we need to just select the top row. So this is the top row, this is the first row that contains the table header, and I want to repeat it for my entire sheet. Whenever I print, that will be printed on each page. So just click OK, right? So now the header row will be the part of my each sheet. So Control B or this, so this is label is printed. If I move to the next one, then you will see this is also the part of the second sheet. So this is one of the question people do ask me in various in various trainings. So I thought this might be useful here, but because this is the basic stuff. So we have just concluded the part one. Right, so I hope there is no question on this, or we do?
So kindly repeat the free space for freezing two rows or two columns.
Okay, for example, I want to freeze these two columns, A and B, and I want to freeze uh, first two rows. So it means, so I need to select C3. C3 means two columns at the back and two rows upward, right? So when I freeze panes, so salesperson and Jawad Bhatt, and these two will be fixed and these two will be fixed. So what we need to do is select C3. Okay, C3, view, freeze panes. First we need to unfreeze panes and then freeze panes. Uh, Freeze panes, and now if I scroll down you will see you should have two rows freeze, and if you scroll right you should have two column freeze. So this is how you can freeze two columns or two rows simultaneously, or whatever number of rows or columns that you want to freeze. First you need to select a particular cell, the number of rows and number of columns. Okay, for example, I've selected this one, which is E13. So it means when I freeze panes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the four columns will be freezed, and 12 rows will be freezed. So 12 rows and 4 columns will be freezed if I select E13, right? So I think I've answered that questions. Okay, fine. Very quickly, let's close it. Don't save it. Okay, move to the next one. What is the formula? Keyboard shortcuts we will do at the end, right? We have 20. Okay, fine. We have 40 minutes remaining and we want to do this. Okay, fine. Very, very quickly go through some of the differences between what is a formula, what is a function, and what are the differences. Okay. Remember one thing, formula is a calculation that we have written for an Excel to calculate. So formula is in any calculation written by us in Excel so that Excel will evaluate it and calculate it, right? What normally we do, we provide certain mathematical operators such as plus, minus, subtraction, symbols are there, right? We provide certain cell references, right? In order to write a formula, you need an equal to sign. We have already discussed that examples are there. So these are the examples, some of the formulas, right? As far as the formulas are concerned, right, we have to develop a formula by ourselves based on our own logic. We need to define a method, the way to do that, and then implement it in Excel, right? So that is the basic thing. Formula is dependent on our logic. The logic we should provide. We have to develop the logic for the formula, right? But the function, but the function is a predefined calculation to calculate specific values. So, as far as the formula is concerned, we have to provide a logic. As far as the function are concerned, the logic is predefined. The method is predefined, right? The second difference is that every function has got a name. All functions have a name followed by opening parentheses and arguments and closing parentheses. So every function has a name. But formula does not have a name, right? Example of function is this. Example of formula is this. So this is the formula. This is the formula. It does not have any name, right? But function does, right? We develop formula based on some logic required to perform some evaluating calculation, but functions are already built in by Microsoft having predefined logic already explained. You cannot have a formula in a function. We cannot have a formula in a function, but we can have a function in a formula. So this is an example of function in a formula. So this is the function, and the value of this function, whatever the result we have obtained from this function, will be multiplied by 5%. So this become a formula. So in this formula, we have using a function. So formula can contain a function, but function cannot contain a formula. So these are some of the difference between the formula and a function. One important thing is that while developing a formula, we need to follow certain rules and we should understand those rules. Because this is one of the key areas where you may find different results. You may have a different result in mind, but Excel may give you different output. For example, look at this, 3 plus 3 multiplied by 3. So some of the people may say this will give you an answer 3 plus 3 6 multiplied by 18, and some says 3 multiplied by 3 9 and plus 3 12, right? So what do you think, what should be the answer? 3 plus 3 multiplied by 3? The answer should be 12. Yes, the answer should be 12. Why you calculate the answer is 12? By the way, this is the right answer.
Yes,
right? Uh, in I find this question on Facebook. The people do ask, what should be the answer? The 90% of the people doesn't answer that, right? So this is the thing is that there are rule which is known as the DMAS rule. So we need to apply that particular rule. If some says the answer is 18, they are wrong. The people they have said the answer is 12 that are they are right because they have followed this DMAS rule. This rule says that if you have an expression, the mathematical expressions having different mathematical operators and these expression is without any parenthesis. The rule says the multiplication and the division will be evaluated first. So if you have division and multiplication both, whatever come first, if the division come first, division will be evaluated, will be calculated first. If the multiplication come first, it will be evaluated first. Once it is done, then the second level is addition and subtraction. So the subtraction and addition will be done after the multiplication and the division. So that is actually the case. So if we apply this rule, 3 multiplied by 3, so this is as per the DMAS rule, this will be evaluated first. So 3 multiplied by 3 is 9, and then we have the plus. So 3 multiplied by 3 plus 3 is 12. That is the right answer. But if we want to have answer equal to 12 for this particular expression, then we need to introduce the parenthesis in order to change the DMAS rule. So DMAS rule will not apply on a parenthesis. So we are forcing that 3 plus 3, the addition will be done first and then will be multiplication. So we put a parenthesis in order to enforce Excel to evaluate addition first. So 3 plus 3 is 6 and then multiply by 3, the answer will be 18. So this is we need to consider because the majority of the errors that you may come across is because of the DMAS rule. So that is the function and the formula. Let's go very quickly. Calculation of total and average using formula and calculation of total and average using function. Very quickly. Rather, I have done it already. Just double click on this total. So this is actually the formula and the formula says, so this is B3, the value in B3 added to B4, added to B5, B6 and B7. And when you click enter, all the cell values or the values in all these cells will be added and we will give the answer. So this is the method we need to do in the formula, and this is actually the logic. And similarly for the average, so what we need to do is first we need to add all these values and divide by the number of the number of values. So there are 5 values that we need to add. So this is the sum. This will provide with the sum, and we need to divide it by 5 in order to get the average. So this is the method and this is the logic that we have to use in formulas. Similarly, we have the function, and this is the name of the function, and this is the argument. This is the range. We have already discussed what is the range. So the range is the selection of cells. So B3 colon B7, the first value and the last value, and the first reference and the last reference, and the values in between will be taken into the functions and will be calculated accordingly. So sum B3, this function, it has a predefined logic of addition. Taken the values in that particular range and calculated it accordingly. And similarly, we have the average function. So we have the name of the function is average, and this is actually the range. We don't need to provide the logic behind it. The logic is already built in this particular function, and only to need apply the average and the proper syntax so that we can apply it. So this is very, very simple stuff. Any question on this?
Can we customizingly select the cells to do the sum using function?
Sorry, say it again.
Can we customizingly select the cells to do the sum using function? Like now we just want to select the range, we just want to select particular cells.
No, as far as the formula is concerned, we need to manually apply the cell reference. Yes, in function we can, but in formula we can't. So for a formula, as I'm just saying that we need to provide our own logic. So in order to do that, we need to do it manually. Right?
Regarding the function. The function is not
Yes, function may, yes. For example, just look at this. So we have the sum function and we just need to provide the range, that is the range, and that's it. That we need to do. If that what it means, that is actually the case. If it has, kindly elaborate it further because.
what it means is, for example, not the whole range, like not the whole 5 cells. He wants to add B3 and then B5.
Okay, fine. If your question is that you want to sum this value, or this value, yes, we can, because the syntax suggests, for example, this is the sum, and this is actually the case, that you need to use it in a different way. So this is the first value, comma. This is the second value, then we have the comma, and this is the case. So that you can do, yes, we can do that. Okay. Okay, very quickly, more basic function. I've already, we have done sum and average, there are count and max and min. The count function will, what it does, it has the same pattern, only the name is different, the range is the same. Count function will count the numbers and return the number of values exist in particular range. So we have 5 values, the answer should be 5, right? So the max function will return the maximum value in a particular range. So the answer should be 50, and it is 50 because the maximum value is 50. So that is actually in this particular range, the maximum value is say 50, and similarly we have the minimum value is this. So very, very simple. I don't think we need to spend more time on this, but if some people do have question on this, on more basic function, right? Okay, so there is auto sum.
I have a question. How to use spell number function?
Okay, spell function is not a function, is not a predefined function, is not a built-in function. Remember that. It is not a function provided by Microsoft Excel. So it is not a built-in function. It is a function developed by third party, right? It is the function developed in a macro, right? So we can develop a function using VBA, and then we'll call that function, and it looks like that it is a built-in function. So built-in spell number is not a built-in function. And this is one of the questions that people normally ask, and that I have planned to cover in my, I think, third module, which is VB and macro.
We have to find minimum value by excluding 0.
Okay, There are certain ways to do that, but I think we are left with only not half an hour, maybe less than half an hour, and we have something to do. Let me complete this presentation. I will suggest that I will provide you my email address, right? Type in your questions, send me your questions, right? And I will try to answer those questions, right, in my next webinar, right? I will take first 10-15 minutes or maybe half an hour uh, to answer those questions, right? Just type in and I will get back to you. Maybe I will provide you through email, but most likely that I will be presenting your queries, answering your queries in the next 15-20 minutes in the next webinar, right? Okay, fine. I'm sorry about this, but we have to manage the time because I have to rush somewhere else at one. Okay, AutoSum. AutoSum function is a feature. It's very simple, straightforward. But what we need to do is we don't need to type it. We don't need to type the function. The function will be automatically typed. Just what we want to do is we want to say sum these values through AutoSum. So we have the home tab, we have the editing group, and you should find the AutoSum feature. So AutoSum feature, if you click that, you should find sum, average, count, max, and min. For example, if I want to sum, so click sum, and you should see that automatically all those values which present above uh, the cell where we want to put the function will be selected automatically, and then just click press enter, and you will find the answer. And similarly, if you want to say use the count function, for example, count numbers, just do that. We have the count and click OK, and you see. So this is how it goes. And say average, so this is average. So this is AutoSum have the multiple. Okay, there is a shortcut for AutoSum. So this will only have for sum function only. So AutoSum. So for example, I want to add these values, but through a keyboard shortcut, and that is Alt equal to sign. So put your, select a cell where all these values need to be added by some function. Select this one and Alt equal to, and we have, I just click Alt equal to, and I've already get this thing, and click OK, and you will see what will happen. So this is AutoSum feature. If function and nested if function and sum function, it is already, that is the subject matter of the next webinar, right? It is meant for, I don't know. Okay, fine, maybe it's okay. Okay, we'll, if function and sum if function, nested function, will do in next webinar, that a webinar focusing entirely on functions itself, right? So these are some of the basic function. Now let's close it and move to uh, the third sheet and the keyboard shortcuts. Okay. So the keyboard shortcuts, what are keyboard shortcuts, by the way? And remember earlier I have pointed out one important benchmark for the accountants, and that is a good accountant that uses Excel. One of the key parameters is that he should not use a mouse, or should use it at minimum, right? So it simply means that he should know certain keyboard shortcuts, right? What is a keyboard shortcut? Keyboard shortcut is a key combination that has been associated with certain tasks, certain operations that we need to perform very quickly, right? Sometime we need to say click, 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 right? We need to click, rather we need to use certain key combination to perform something. And by using this thing, keyboard shortcuts, your efficiency will be enhanced, right? Your productivity will be enhanced. And in some of the research, it says that maybe 20% of the time you can save using these keyboard shortcuts. Okay, the key to memorize keyboard shortcut. Using the word key, the key to memorizing keyboard shortcut is using it again and again. So if you use it again and again, then you will be able to memorize it, right? So there are many keyboard shortcuts in this presentation. I will very quickly go through some of these, maybe I'm skipping some of these, but what you need to do is you need to practice it. You need to apply it at your workplace in your Excel sheet. Once you do that, you will be memorizing this, and your tasks become very easy. So there are general keyboard shortcuts. They are navigating, they are editing, selection, they are formatting keyboard shortcuts. There are many. So let's very quickly go through. So these are the general keyboard shortcuts. If you press Control N, this will open a new workbook, blank, new 0 meter workbook, right? So if you want to close an existing workbook, if I press Control F4, so Control F4, that will close a file. Control S is saving. Control O is opening an existing file. So F2 is one of the key keyboard shortcut. Sometimes we want to save the existing file with a different name. So if you press F12, so if I press F12, so here we have, okay, I've just pressed F12 and see we have the save as dialog box coming up. And what we can do, we can rename these files and we can save this file with a different name. So F12 is the keyboard shortcut for save as, right? So Control P is to go to the print option view, for example, Control P. So this is, we have the printing options and we have the a print preview of that, right? So we have the Control Z. This is the most used key, right? Apart from Control C and Control V. So Control Z is the most widely used whenever you have done something wrong. So you have always help of Control Z, just Control Z, and that will undo the whole operation. Then we have the Control Y. Control Y is the redo. So sometimes people do confuse between undo and redo. So just to highlight what undo or redo means. For example, this is the 4. I've just given one, say, I just highlighted, maybe give it a B, bolded. So I bolded, right? So I've applied one operation on 4 and I bold this. So if I want to undo, what I need to do is just Control Z. So it is undo the last operation. So now I want to bold it and I want to redo this operation. on this task. So what I have done, I've selected this and I want to apply the same operation that I did in 4. So now I will be doing control Y. So control Y, what it does, whatever the last action we have applied, it will apply it on the next occasion, right? So this is the redo the last action. And whereas undo, undo means the undo the last action. Okay, fine. F7 is for spelling check. Very, very important. We need to spell check our whole worksheet because it is look very untidy and unprofessional if there are spelling mistake in your worksheet. So always go for that. So we may discuss the different options of spell check, but right now this is the shortcut key, which is F7. Then we have the cut, copy, paste. We have the cut, copy, and we have the cut, paste. So this is the second most widely used keyboard shortcut. The cut copy is Control C. For example, I want to text to copy, Control C, and then we have Control V. Then I want to move this text to move. Then I have to Control X. Then I have to Control V. So this is cut, paste, copy, paste. Okay. Then I want to find the text, Control F. Okay. Someone has asked a question about the merge cells in the data. I don't know, I forgot the name of the attendee. You may have the solution in find and replace. Somebody has pointed, I don't know, I forgot the name, but Control F is to find text, Control H to find and replace. Control H, find and replace. You can find something and you can replace something. But for that particular question, we have the options and we have certain formats. So if you click the format, if you click the format, somewhere here you may find different options to play with. So if you just follow that, you may get the solution what you are looking for. So you can find the merge cells through the find and H option. So I've just that came to my mind. So if you want to explore it, do that. You find and replace. You can find the merge cells within your data sheet. Okay, I think general keyboard is okay. There is no question on that, I guess. Then there is a navigation key. Navigation key is good. Navigation means you want to go here and there from one location to another location. So move to the next cell. The tab is you can moving right if you could shift tab if you go backward. Page up, page down is very simple. Up the screen, down the screen, one screen up, one screen down. Move to the next worksheet. Okay, control page up, control page down. You can go up and down, right? So there are different using the right. So this is move to the next, control page up, control page down. You can use that. Go to the first cell, Control H, control home. You can move to the first cell. This is A1. Control end to the last cell that the data is contained. So right, so control home once again. Then you have okay, fine. Now the use of arrow keys. For example, we want to move around, just press control and you see what will happen. You can move within the data range, right? So control up 10, left, right, so you can move around. Similarly, you can use it for next location. We don't have data here, so that is why, that is the reason it goes at the end. So if we have somewhere here and I want to go to the next region, so this is the case. So you can play with this. Uh, okay, so data region, move between open work, control F6 is the key combination. If there are different workbooks open, you can move around among the workbooks. So this is the thing. Uh, uh, then we have the editing and selection. Uh, very simple. We have the delete on character right, backspace. We have edit cell. Normally we have to use the F2 cell. If you click F2, the cell will be the Excel allow you to edit your values within the cell. Then you have the escape key. Okay, control A. So with the help of you can control A. You can select the sheet. You can select the region. Shift space bar. Shift space bar. For example, shift and space bar, and you see the entire row will be. Then you have the control space bar, and the entire column will be selected. Then you have the option to select the entire region. What is I meant by region? I meant by region is that the data that is separated with certain rows and columns. This is the data region. So this is the data region. This is one data region and this is second data region. So both these data region is isolated, is separated with certain empty rows, right? And in order to select this, we have control shift 8. So control shift 8 is the keyboard shortcut to select the entire region, right? So these are some of the keyboard shortcut. Okay, next sheet. Okay, so this is control page up, control page down. You can going forward, going backward. Then there are certain formatting keys. So control B, control I, control U. Okay, these are very simple. So this is maybe for some of you the new the strike throughs. If you click control 5, you will see what will happen, right? So the control 5, this will sort of a toggle on and off. There is a line on the text, control 5 and control 5 again, right? Similarly, you can apply the border, control shift 7, control shift 7, you will see what will happen. The border is applied. Then you have control shift underscore to remove that border, right? Okay, so these are some of the basic formatting keyboard shortcut. Now these are the thing that you should know. Sometime we want to open the dialog box. If you press Control 1, so this is the keyboard shortcut for format cells. You can apply various type of formatting from here, right? So some here, these are the general format. So what we will be trying to do is we will be using these key combination and see what is the impact on that. So format as number. So if I click control shift 1, control shift 1, and you will see the format is as number, right? And if I say format as date, so if I click 43101 is actually the number. The Excel saves date as numbers. So this is the general format. We need to provide a date format. So control shift 3. So as control shift 3, it convert that number into a date. Then I have control shift 4, that is the currency. Control shift 5, that is for percentage, and control shift tilde. This is called the tilde. This is known as the tilde. So control shift tilde, back to normal. So these are the keyboard shortcuts. So as an accountant, you will be using these keyboard shortcuts more frequently, right? And there are certain more keyboard shortcuts. Very quickly go through all of these. Auto sum, arrange, I've already done it with you, so this is Alt E, so it is already done, right? So insert the date, control semicolon. If you control semicolon, and you will see the date comes up. If you insert a time, so control shift semicolon, so this is the keyboard shortcut for inserting a system date. If you want to say insert a row, so I want to insert a row, this is Alt I row, so the row is added. Then I want to delete that, Alt E D, and shift cell up, okay, select option. So this is how it goes, right? And then we have deleting options, column options. I hope you can do that. Then insert a new sheet, shift F11. So shift F11, when you press, the new sheet will be added. Although you can click this one to add a new sheet as well, right? So these are some of the keyboard shortcut, very basics. There are certain other keyboard shortcuts as well. We will discuss those keyboard shortcuts in different webinars. I think this is it from our side. If you have any question, I think we don't have time to take questions. Already it's almost 1 o'clock. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm providing my email address. So this is it24@gmail.com. So this is my email address. This is my email address, right? You can send me an email, send me emails regarding your questions. I will try to accommodate in my next webinars, right? I hope this webinar on Excel basics gave you certain insights, provide you certain basic information that might you not familiar with, but every Excel user should know these basics because these are very important, and because this is the foundation, and the architecture is based on the sound foundation. So I think this will provide you some of the basics upon which you can build on all your skill of Excel, right? I think it's time to call it a day. I think let's sign it off. Okay, guys, thank you very much, and see you in the next webinar. But do post your, send me your emails for your questions. Thank you very much.